I finally have a day off after working 11 days in a row at a grocery store. I'm supposed to be a cartoonist. This is Jar Humor speaking, and I want to talk to you about being an independent artist. Because being an independent artist is not an easy thing. It's certainly, I love the romanticized version of being a cool independent artist, but the reality is I work at a grocery store and I'm supposed to be part-time, but somehow they seem to be working me all the time, especially when someone's on vacation or someone calls out or anything like that. So I worked 11 days in a row, and that has ruined my life. It just, everyone keeps telling me, oh, it's good money. It's like, yeah, I'd rather have my life back than the money. So, oh, excuse me. But, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I have a client that wants an album cover created, and today I actually had to message them through the website that I connect with these clients, and I had to extend the delivery date. I had to ask for more time because I just didn't have the time to complete this work. And I have to do this all the time. And the company I get these gigs through, they're not nice about me doing anything. They're like, you take too long to respond to people. You're constantly asking for more time. It's like you're and I'm like, all right, like working at a grocery store, I get evaluated I think once a year. There's an evaluation. This website evaluates me every month. Every month, them as an employer, they tell me I suck all the time. And I'm really getting tired of it. Yeah, I'm a creative. All right, I'm an artist. I'm a little scattered. All right, I'm a loose cannon. I don't know. I just added that last one because it sounded cool. I'm probably not a loose cannon. I'm just undisciplined. Would be a better way of putting it. It's not so much that the cannon is loose. The cannon is kind of lazy. And I don't even think it's laziness. It's just I'm tired. You know, that drudgery of having to drag my body into a grocery store. And I love working at a grocery store. I love the people that I meet, the stories. It's an adventure. It gets me out of the house. I used to just be a reclusive cartoonist. I used to just work for novelty companies designing T-shirts. I'm sorry, there's something in my throat. I feel like this was the worst time to record something. I'm gonna pour me some tea. So, my goodness, what was I saying before my thirst got a hold of me? Oh, I have some tea poured. That's how scattered I am. I didn't realize I had already poured myself tea into this cup. Oh, dramatic pause while I take a sip of tea. There we go, much better. Okay, my goodness. I'm looking around my home. There are dirty dishes. There are at least clean clothes, but they're not folded. They're all just in my clean clothes baskets. I was saying to this woman that I work with, she's from India, and I was explaining to her, and that's going to become relevant in a moment. I was telling her how I couldn't find my socks. She's like, you couldn't find your socks? I said, I couldn't find my socks. I said, I knew I had clean socks, but I couldn't find them. I'm digging through my clean clothes hamper. Now, everything I own is black, because I'm also a cliche artist. And I can't find the black socks in this mess of black t-shirts of various degrees of fadedness. I'm probably, like the t-shirt I'm wearing today, I think I've owned for 20 years. It's gray now. It's no longer a black t-shirt, but I can't find these socks. And then she says to me, she goes, oh no, we've got to get you a wife. She said this to me, that I need a wife to help me find my socks. I said, you know what? I said, American women just don't think that way. I said, but if you find me a foreign gal, and and I'll make her my wife. Someone, I love that there's I don't know, there's this meme. I feel like I've said this before to you guys. I can't remember. I tend to repeat myself, but this is a good one. It was a meme that was like the front of a paper towel, and it was like when you leave your white wife for a Latina, and it said cleans twice as good, 2 times thicker, or something like that. I thought that was funny. So, as an independent artist, so the idea is to actually be independent. How would one go about being an actual independent artist? Because I don't really feel independent. I feel like I am in servitude to this website that connects me to clients. This doesn't feel like independence. And I think the problem with artists or individuals in general is that the skills we don't have are the problem. Sometimes we really do need other people. There is a reason creative types have always needed some type of business management. The problem is finding business managers that aren't evil. That's the thing. Now, creative people used to be considered evil. I want to tell you this interesting little thing. So I'm really into secret societies, especially like the Freemasons and various other. And there are these legends, lores, myths, allegories, and I will treat them as such, not as historical facts. But there is this story about how there was this half god named Tubal-Cain who seeded part of mankind. All right, it's kind of like the snake in the Garden of Eden. So imagine, like in Genesis, the snake from the Garden of Eden was like, "Hey Eve, what's up, girl?" So Tubal-Cain is this half snake, half man, this godlike creature that supposedly, I can't remember if it was Eve or if it was Lilith, like who he bumped uglies with in order to seed a certain group of human beings that were endowed with the creative spirit, so to speak. So that's kind of the legend of explaining why some human beings are very creative and some are not. So I've always considered myself a descendant of Tubal-Cain, just out of mythology. Not that I'm taking that seriously. Not like a woman who's really into past life regression and she's like, oh my god, I was totally Cleopatra in a past life. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in a more, like I said, allegorical, mythological sort of sense, that the descendants of Cain have this creative ability. But what we do seem to lack sometimes is an ability to focus, an ability to have structure. I need that in my life. Probably a business partner. It would be great if it was also a wife that could also help me find my socks. And maybe that's what I'm looking for, is a business partner. Because wouldn't that tick the box of also the strong woman? Like the strong female protagonist that helps this poor artist together. So maybe I need that in my life. But for right now, I've got to work on myself. Because that might actually be a bad idea. I'll tell you why it's a bad idea. So I have this theory about relationships, and this is all related. Don't worry, it's a good tangent. I'll come back around to what I'm actually talking about. So I have this theory about relationships. There are 3 types of relationships: dependent, codependent, and interdependent. A dependent relationship is when one person has their life together and the other person's a mess, and they rely on that other person for everything. That's a dependency. Codependent is when you both kind of don't have your thing together, but you kind of lean on each other and you kind of make it work. That's most people. Most people are that. But it sucks because you're constantly upsetting one another. This is why 50% of marriages end in divorce, because 50% of people just don't function on their own. And when they get with another person, all those flaws just become highlighted, right? So in stark contrast to that, you have interdependency. This is when both individuals have their lives together. They are independent on their own. They have achieved a level of sovereignty where they don't need anyone else, but when they get together with another person who is independent and sovereign, it actually makes them a better person. That's what I want in my life. If I'm going to get a girlfriend, wife, whatever relationship, if I'm going to get into a relationship again at this point in my life, because when I was in my 20s, it was just like, oh, she's cute. Oh, she's kind of cool. Oh, she's into the same stuff as me. Oh, she's wearing... There's one girl I liked because she was wearing a Lenore t-shirt. Do you remember Roman Dirge's cartoon character, the little dead girl named Lenore? I'm like, oh, hey, I like your Lenore shirt. You know what I mean? And we started talking because I was really into goth chicks. That's all it took for me to become interested in a girl in the past. Now it's like, I'm going to need to see your credit score. I'm going to need to know. I'm going to need to know whether or not you're going to ruin my life. So it's a very different time in my life where I'm very critical of who I get into a relationship with. And I think women my age, I'm 42, I think women my age and a little older have that level of discernment anymore and absolute object fear in getting into a relationship. And you should. You should treat it with that level of scrutiny. Not necessarily the fear. You should always be optimistic, but at the same time, that level of scrutiny is definitely necessary. Now, you should be able to recognize another independent person. I've always followed that Groucho Marx line, I would never belong to any club that would have me as a member. That's why I don't get into relationships right now. I'm working on myself to becoming an independent artist, to fill in those gaps, those things that I know I'm not good at, to try to get a little more organized. I ordered a book off the internet. I've read synopsis of it. It's called How to Be a Productivity Ninja. Can't remember the author's name. I remember either his first name or his last name starts with an A. Too lazy to look it up. I'm just pacing around my house with my recorder in my hand. I'm not by the internet. I mean, it's all around. It's passing through my body at this moment. It's always passing through our bodies. The internet's always around us. But I don't have a device that connects to that thing that's all around us to find out his actual name. But anyways, Productivity Ninja. If you type that into a search engine, you'll be able to find that. I like the ideas in it. I don't know if the book's any good. I'm recommending a book I have not read yet. But I'm hoping it will help me out. I also read James Clear's Atomic Habits. I really like that book. And I started doing some of those things, but I've got to go back and look at that again. Because I'm looking around my house. My clothes are not folded. There's dirty dishes. There's kind of a little level of chaos going around. I didn't get my art gig done in time. It was like the delivery date was today at around 3 p.m. And I'm like, yeah, it's not happening. I need a day. I need a day after 11 days of working at a grocery store, just for myself. But today I'm also going to sit down and come up with a plan to work towards more independence. Every once in a while I get this bug up my butt where I'm like, I'm tired of this. Okay, I started this stupid podcast thing a couple weeks ago, and then I haven't put one up in forever. I'm like, oh, you're supposed to, put this on the internet as much as possible. That's what content creators are supposed to do. They're supposed to create consistent content. And I'm the scatterbrained artist, and I've got to stop thinking of myself as that, because that's an affirmation. I got to stop affirming that. I've got to affirm that I can be more organized, more disciplined. That I've got it together. So this is going to go on the internet. That's what I decided. I'm like, I have a couple of these recorded, of these speeches, podcast things recorded, but I have to listen to them because I'm not sure if I like them or not. I'm not. Sometimes, especially the ones where I've been drinking or I'm high on psilocybin, I tend to say things I shouldn't say to the public. You know what? We should just hang out. Here's my address. Just come hang out. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad, but it's a level of life honesty that gets a little too much, where I'm like, it's more protecting other people than it is myself, because I don't care about myself. But it's more like, I really shouldn't mention that about that person. Did I just mention that person's name? Oh no. So I'm never certain if any of that kind of pops up in these recordings, that I have to go back and kind of have to be my own standards and practices. But all I'm really looking for is, I don't care about if I said something offensive necessarily, because that's part of my shtick. I'm a cartoonist, and for a lack of a better word, not necessarily a comedian, but comedy writer. Like, I write funny stuff. Like, in people who can't take a joke and take the fact that if I say something, it's most likely a joke, unless you're offended by, I mean, I could see, in this day and age, I can definitely see how someone could be offended by something I take that I said sincerely. Like, what was I saying earlier about how American women just don't they don't help out around the house. You try to get an American gal, you're trying to get one of these American women to help you clean your house or cook you a damn meal. You ain't going. I mean, that's what I sounded like earlier. But it wasn't my perspective. It was this woman who comes from a different culture who said, and I had that happen before to me. One of the guys I worked with, but it was a guy, so this is one of those things that I really don't feel like I should say, but I'm going to say it anyways. He was a guy, but he's of Haitian descent, and he said the exact same thing to me one time when I told him. I said, man, I need a day off. I got dishes piled up in my sink. He goes, oh, you don't have a wife? I'm like, dude, that's not. But that, it's different, and it's also prevalent in whatever. But I've never thought that way. I've never thought. Well, first of all, I came from a broken home. I was raised by my mother and her mother, and they were terrible in general, just at life. They both were forced to be independent. Like, my mother went through 3 marriages. I was the product of a 3rd marriage. And my mother had to be independent because no man would put up with just how awful she was as a person. Like, my mother really was hypercritical of other people and just had a bad temper and just was a horribly negative individual, that she was kind of forced to be independent. It was not a choice. Hey, baby. Yeah, it's just you and me, baby. Yeah, angel. Yeah. All right, you got plenty of food. Shut up. You just want attention because I'm walking around talking. Yeah, baby. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to walk away from you now because I got to finish what I'm doing. I'm talking to people. I know you don't understand that as a concept. And God help me if you ever do understand that as a concept. It's like, oh no, what... My cat has become self-aware. So my mother was forced to be independent. She was an independent woman just because she tried her damnedest to get into a marriage where she was the cliche housekeeper, homemaker, and her second husband. She tried that. She tried that domestic thing. He had a son from a previous marriage who is my brother. I call him my stepbrother. We're not blood related at all, but we're related through marriage. In fact, when our mother passed away, and that's how I will put it, because she raised him like a mother. I called him. He was the first person that I called to let him know that Mom had passed away. Even though him and I are not blood related, he's always been the closest thing to a brother to me. I hope he doesn't think that way if I ever win the lottery, though. Calls me up, hey, bro. So, because other than that, I have no family left. All of my family are deceased. It's just me and the cat. So, once again, I don't feel like I'm necessarily an independent person, but I'm kind of in this situation that I am this slacker artist who is now forced to really be independent because I don't trust people that would help me as far as the money goes, as far as management type goes. I've always felt like those type of people, like an agent or a business manager, it just seems kind of shady. Even when I was doing really well years ago, and it seemed like there was more of a need for that, I'm like, I remember, speaking of Roman Dirge, so I used to, not bragging, but I used to be MySpace friends with Roman Dirge. the cartoonist. And I remember when he got signed by CAA, like that was a big deal. Like that was, I remember like teasing him. He posted a picture of him with a couple of hot goth chicks, and I'm like, hey, did CAA send those chicks over? And he thought that was funny. Yeah, I am kind of bragging. That's like an old person bragging that they met some. You know, what is that? What's that? It's like a joke from Family Guy. It's about how like Gabrielle Carteris was like the oldest person hanging out on Beverly Hills 90210. She's like, I used to ride the trolley with Barbara Stanwyck or something like that. That's what I feel like I used to be MySpace friends with Roman Dirge story is. But like I never really I don't know. Like I know now that I have to reach a certain level of independence, a certain level of productivity, where I have a routine and a habit. I've talked about this in other talks about habit loops. You know, I go back to the whole thing that Westworld, the TV show Westworld, talks about our loops. We are really stuck inside of our own loops. And I'm trying to break my own loop because inevitably the grocery store that I work for always needs my help. I have open availability. Most of the other people that are part-time have to have like a second job that like they're delivering pizzas or something like that. Like their job needs them on certain days. I pick my own schedule. I work from home. So in doing so, I have open availability, which they love. They can call me in whenever, you know? But that's ruining my life at this point that I worked 11 days in a row because I got called in on my days off last week. That's how I ended up working 11 days in a row. And nothing got done, though. Like, no laundry or anything. So what do I have 2 days off now. And I'm really trying to figure out how to get my life together today. How to become an independent artist. Because my goals do include becoming independent as an artist. To where I have a workflow that is coming out of me on a consistent basis. That is getting onto the internet to the people. You know, because that's what everything's internet now. You know, you just put things on the internet. I had to have young people convince me of that. They're like, you should make vertical content. I go, I don't like vertical content. They're like, no, you should. Oftentimes and you need that. You need, the chapter I often skipped in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich is the chapter on the mastermind group. You really do need a group of people around you that can help you fill in the gaps. And we also live in a society, though, now, where we have these technological advancements where everybody has made an internet video about something. You want to learn how to fix something, you want to learn how to make something or do something, you can learn it through watching an internet video. And I think that's fantastic. So through like the book I just ordered or the books that I read, all the self-help books and everything like that, I'm hoping to find a way to move forward as a more independent artist, to be fully independent, to have that autonomy, that sovereignty, where I can actually be an artist. And that doesn't just mean making a living from it, because I will never quit now working at the grocery store. I may get fired for inappropriate comments to the people. Like, I'm horribly honest. Oh, okay, so I'll end with this anecdote. I had this girl cracking up. We were doing samples in my department, and it was the stuff that we never sell. It's garbage. It's overpriced. It tastes good, but it's no one would buy it. It's overpriced. So she walks up, she's like, "Ooh, what's that?" And I tell her, and I said, "Yeah, I said no one buys it though. It's overpriced." And she starts laughing, and she's like, "What?" And I keep going with like this shtick, but I'm just being honest. And she's cracking up. She's trying to eat this thing, and she's cute girl, not really my type, but my friends, including it's a Hispanic woman who's about my age. She's Argentinian. She made fun of me afterwards. She's like, "James, did you get her number?" I'm like, "No, I didn't get her number, man." But my inappropriateness with the customers is fun and hilarious. And I may get fired one day for it. I don't know. This job needs me really badly. They act like they don't. They're like, you are easily replaced. Can you come in on Thursday? But I would like to spend more time cartooning and fewer days at the grocery store. My goal is like 2 days at the grocery store, and then the other days cartooning, and then a couple days for myself. Like what would that be? But like 3 days cartooning, 2 days grocery store, 2 days to myself. That would be nice. That's a good goal. I would like that, but I gotta get it together. I gotta keep putting these talks on the internet. I gotta keep cartooning. Like, I feel like I cartoon for other people more than I do myself. Even doing my little cartoon videos, which sometimes don't even require cartoonings. I'm just waving my little cartoon characters in front of the camera and just telling jokes. That I don't even really feel like I do anymore. I feel like I don't have the time. So I'm working on today a system. Everyone needs a good system. I need a good system of doing this consistently, getting in the habits of doing these things. So that's why I picked up the recorder. I said, let's talk about being an independent artist. And if you guys have any resources for me about being more independent as an artist, I would love to hear them. I don't claim to be any sort of expert. If you started listening to this because you're like, oh, I'm going to get some advice about being an independent artist. No, you're just getting some truth. You're getting some, it sucks. If I could go back, I would have gotten an actual career rather than being an artist. It is fun. There is a level of novelty to the fact that I have these skills that I'm like, oh, I'm a descendant of Tubal Cain. I am an architect of heaven. I am this creative force. And then I'm like, man, I should have become a dentist. I should have just become a used car salesman. Like, I should be an insurance agent or something like that. Like, I should have just chosen an actual career. This is like, and at 42 years old, I'm like, this is bad. But at the same time, I do have fun. I enjoy myself. I've just got to become more organized and more independent. More. Just get it together. Get it together, James. But I want to thank you so much for listening to me rant. I hope to be ranting at you again very soon. I have a couple of these talks, like I said, recorded. I'm going to listen to them, make sure they're okay, and I'm going to be putting those up hopefully very soon. It's good talking to you guys again. I'm sorry I was gone for like a week, you know. Well, with that being said, this is Jar Humor. Thanking you so much for listening. You can find me anywhere on the internet at Jar Humor on any of the social medias or at jarhumor.com. I used to make T-shirt designs, which I should do again. If you're interested in the T-shirts, I still have funny sci-fi horror comedy T-shirts out there. I appreciate it. It really doesn't help me because I don't make that much. To tell you the truth, I used to. I really don't make that much money from it, but I am super proud to see my work out in the material world. I will end with this. As someone who's mostly digital, even though I'm a pen and ink cartoonist, most of my work is only appreciated on the internet electronically. When someone buys a copy of my book, Awful Movies from Earth, and like sends me a picture of them holding it, or a picture of them wearing my shirt, one of the shirts I designed, that is more awesome than the money, honestly. So if you do buy any of my crap, please take a picture, tag me on the internets at Jar Humor. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, this is Jar Humor signing off. Does that work? Is that a little too much for an ending? All right, I'm going to go now. All right, bye.